Hi, I'm Michael Wodarczyk, firefighter paramedic with the City of Independence, Ohio for the past 20 years. I'm here to talk to you today about heroin, the heroin epidemic nationwide and almost certain death, and what we can do about that as a community with both the fire department and people of the general community. The heroin epidemic, there are thousands of people dying each year across the nation. The number is increasing. The Center for Disease Control says that there has been an approximately 500% increase in opioid deaths. We'll get to that in a minute. In the past 10 years. Now, opioids are pain medications like Percocet, Darvocet, things like that. They are extremely addictive. They are utilized for pain management by doctors in the medical industry for specific injuries or ongoing chronic pain. And they're being produced, they produce a decent income, I imagine, for the pharmaceutical industry, and therefore their perpetuated use is very common. The dangers with them is that they're extremely addictive. The addiction, like any other addiction, creeps up rather slowly, but in time the doctor will find a reason to cease to prescribe any more of these medications, and now we have an ordinary person. There is no socioeconomic demographic for this. It's not just something that occurs in lower income communities, in the hood or whatever. The demographic spreads across the entire populace, really. And what you have is people that are addicted, sons, daughters, husbands, wives, ordinary people that started off for pain management issues, taking these medications for pain management issues, and eventually became addicted to them and needing them to function, and the cycle just continues on and on. Eventually these people run out of prescriptions. Their doctors deem that it's unnecessary to prescribe them any more medications, and therefore they are now an addict without a supply. They actually are so addictive, these opiates, that people will give in and go on the street and seek heroin. Heroin was an epidemic years ago, maybe not to the same proportions, definitely not to the same proportions as right now. It lost popularity for some time. It's making a comeback due to its very similar effect on the body as opioids. The heroin user is also at much increased risk than they used to be. So your common person goes, they get some heroin. They don't realize that it's laced with an item called fentanyl, a drug called fentanyl. And fentanyl is an analgesic. It's a pain reliever as well. However, it is approximately 10 times the strength, 10 times the strength of your traditional, typical heroin dosage. And what happens with this is the effects of respiratory depression and loss of consciousness, respiratory arrest, and then cardiac arrest and death will happen 10 times easier than they would with ordinary heroin. So you have a person that has no idea exactly what the amount of fentanyl is that they're using. They think that they're using an ordinary dose, one dose that they've used for many years or a period of time, and they actually become overdosed tenfold and die. This is repeatedly happening. I've seen it several times over the last several years. Our municipality is about 7,000 residents, 33 or so thousand residents by day during working hours. And in the past 3 years, since 2014, we've had 73 overdoses. Approximately 20 of these have resulted in death. 18 of these have resulted in death, and that's just in the past 3 years. We go on calls and they're ordinary people, totally passed out, in a restroom at work, in their car as they're driving down the road, they get in an accident. Fortunately, most of those have been all right from what I've seen. We deliver Narcan. It reverses the effects of heroin and fentanyl. But since fentanyl is stronger, we have to use 2 to 3 times the dose just to get a response out of a patient. And it's so bad that our police officers, our first responders, they often carry Narcan, this reversing drug, in their cars as well, because they may be there sooner than us and time is of the essence. What I propose that we do is that we try to reach out and put an end to the problem before it starts. Since the addiction is so bad, once you're addicted to heroin, you do not recover. Your entire life is spent wanting that drug, no matter how much recovery you go through. and no matter how many hospital visits you've had, no matter how much you think you're clean, or people think you're clean, this person is addicted for life. And they will always tend to chase after that addiction. And to reach that euphoria that they reached before, they need to take more of the product. And you can imagine that with 10 times the potency, it's just an absolute disaster. It needs to be avoided before it begins. Now, you have programs like DARE, the police departments have taken part of over the years, and police officers are great. I work with many of them. We work together very well. We have no problems. Only thing about police officers versus fire department and paramedics are that they deal with the crime side. They deal with the criminal aspect of it. They are not assuming, I don't want to say that's a strong word, but they are arriving on a scene and they have to take care of law and order. They have to secure the scene for safety reasons. And there's more of a harsh edge to that. There just is. Joe firefighter shows up in your school when you haven't seen him at an emergency or something like that. And he's looked upon as the friend, the guy, not the authoritative figure. I think that it hits home a little bit in public speaking about these topics. We can also give personal testimony to the fact that we've been with families. We've told them, yes, your son or daughter has died. We've been in the hospitals and we've seen doctors telling their family, yes, they've expired, looking at their faces in total shock. They can't believe that something so simple or so immediate took place. So what I propose we do is that we collaborate. Local fire departments collaborate, much like we do with Fire Prevention Week. Fire Prevention Week runs from October 8th through 14th this year. And during this time, we go into schools and we educate the public. We educate the teachers, we educate the students on how to prevent hazards and fires within your household. Well, I think at this point, it is so immediately necessary to do the same, but with drug awareness, specifically narcotics and opioids. What I propose we do is that we come up with a Death by Drug Use Awareness Week, in which we go in and do similar things as Fire Prevention Week, as far as speaking to the public and educating them, giving testimony without violating any medical privacy acts, giving testimony to exactly what happens to families, trying to get individuals, if they do have a problem, if they do have an injury or something that they go to their doctor for and they want to place them on pain medications, to encourage these individuals that they are in charge of their livelihood, they are in charge of their pain management ultimately and their health. And they can disagree with their doctor and ask for increased physical therapy or pain management or knowledge. Educate yourself, things like that. Try to prevent these people from seeking the drugs in the first place. So what I want to do is meet together with the school officials as soon as possible, and parents, perhaps a school official PTA setting, something like that, and with the fire department to give personal testimony and develop a plan for public speaking to address these issues, address these problems before they happen, because the only answer will lie in prevention. Addiction is way too strong. We need to prevent this in the first place. I'm Mike Wodarczyk. Thank you for listening.